National Electrical Code Section 210.63 addresses the requirement for a 125-volt, single-phase, 15 or 20 amp rated receptacle outlet to be installed at an accessible location for servicing heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration equipment. This receptacle is crucial for providing a convenient power source for technicians working on such equipment, ensuring safe and efficient maintenance. The code mandates that the receptacle must be located on the same level as, and within 7.5 meters, which is 25 feet, of the heating, air conditioning, or refrigeration equipment. This proximity requirement aims to minimize the use of extension cords, which can pose safety hazards and voltage drop issues. It's essential to understand that the receptacle outlet must not be connected to the load side of the equipment disconnecting means. This is to ensure that the receptacle remains energized even when the equipment is disconnected for servicing, allowing technicians to use their tools and test equipment without relying on the equipment's power supply. Electrical inspectors are responsible for verifying compliance with the National Electrical Code, and this includes checking the presence and proper location of the receptacle outlet for servicing heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration equipment. If the outlet is not installed within the specified 25-foot distance or does not meet other requirements of Section 210.63, the inspector may fail the inspection. However, it's important to recognize that the National Electrical Code represents a minimum standard. Local jurisdictions may adopt more stringent requirements, so it's crucial to consult local codes and regulations. In some areas, local codes might require the receptacle outlet to be installed even closer to the equipment, perhaps within 10 feet, or impose additional specifications. To ensure compliance, always check with your local electrical inspector or building department to determine the precise requirements applicable in your area. Understanding the specific requirements of National Electrical Code Section 210.63 is essential for electrical contractors, HVAC technicians, and homeowners alike. Proper installation of the receptacle outlet not only ensures compliance with electrical codes but also promotes safety and convenience during equipment servicing. The purpose of this requirement is to provide a readily accessible power source for servicing the equipment. This eliminates the need for long extension cords, which can be a safety hazard and can also cause voltage drop, affecting the performance of tools and test equipment. The receptacle must be single-phase, 125 volt, and rated for either 15 amps or 20 amps. This rating is sufficient for most common service tools. The receptacle must be installed at an accessible location. This means that it should be easy to reach and not obstructed by any permanent fixtures or equipment. The receptacle must be on the same level as the equipment being serviced. This prevents the need to run extension cords up or downstairs, which can be a tripping hazard. The receptacle must be within 7.5 meters or 25 feet of the equipment. This ensures that the receptacle is conveniently located for service personnel. The receptacle must not be connected to the load side of the equipment disconnecting means. This is to ensure that the receptacle is always energized even when the equipment is disconnected for service. This allows service personnel to use their tools and test equipment without having to energize the equipment being serviced. Inspectors are trained to look for specific details when verifying compliance with National Electrical Code Section 210.63. Firstly, they will confirm the voltage and amperage rating of the receptacle to ensure it meets the 125 volt, 15 or 20 amp requirement. Secondly, the inspector will verify the physical location of the receptacle relative to the heating, air conditioning, or refrigeration equipment. They will measure the distance to ensure it is within the 25-foot limit and on the same level. Thirdly, the inspector will check the wiring connection of the receptacle to ensure it is not connected to the load side of the equipment disconnecting means. This often involves tracing the wiring back to the electrical panel to confirm its source. A failure to meet any of these criteria can result in a failed inspection. If the receptacle is not properly rated, not located within the specified distance, or incorrectly wired, the inspector will likely require corrective action before approving the installation. In addition to the National Electrical Code requirements, local jurisdictions may have additional regulations. These local codes can vary, and it's crucial to be aware of them. For example, some jurisdictions may require ground fault circuit interrupter or GFCI protection for the receptacle, especially if it is located in a damp or wet location. Other jurisdictions may have stricter requirements regarding the distance of the receptacle from the equipment. It is important to consult with the local electrical inspector or building department to determine the specific requirements in your area. To avoid potential inspection failures and ensure compliance with National Electrical Code Section 210.63, consider the following best practices during installation. Plan the location of the receptacle carefully, ensuring it is within 25 feet of the equipment and easily accessible. Use the correct type of receptacle with the appropriate voltage and amperage rating. Install the receptacle on the same level as the equipment to avoid tripping hazards. Connect the receptacle to a dedicated circuit that is not connected to the load side of the equipment. Disconnecting means. Use appropriate wiring methods and materials that comply with local and national codes. Obtain all necessary permits and inspections before energizing the circuit. Consulting with a qualified electrician is always recommended to ensure proper installation and compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. Understanding the intricacies of National Electrical Code Section 210.63 can save time and money by avoiding costly rework and ensuring a safe and compliant electrical installation. Remember to prioritize safety and always consult with qualified professionals when dealing with electrical work. The correct interpretation and application of electrical codes are essential for protecting property and lives. Firstly, the receptacle must be readily accessible. This means it should not be obstructed by any permanent fixtures or stored items. Technicians should be able to easily reach the receptacle without having to move heavy objects or navigate through cluttered spaces. Secondly, the receptacle should be located in a well-lit area. Adequate lighting is essential for safe and efficient servicing of equipment. If the area around the equipment is poorly lit, consider installing additional lighting fixtures to improve visibility. Thirdly, the receptacle should be protected from physical damage. In industrial or commercial settings, receptacles are often subjected to harsh conditions and potential impacts. Consider using a heavy-duty receptacle with a protective cover to prevent damage from tools, equipment, or other objects. The height at which the receptacle is installed can also be a factor. While the National Electrical Code does not specify a precise height, it is generally recommended to install the receptacle at a convenient height for service personnel. A height of 12 to 18 inches above the floor is often considered ideal. This height allows technicians to easily access the receptacle without having to bend over excessively or reach too high. It is important to ensure that the receptacle is properly grounded. Grounding is essential for electrical safety as it provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker and preventing electrical shock. The receptacle should be connected to a properly grounded circuit, and the grounding connection should be verified using a multimeter or other testing device. When selecting a receptacle for this application, consider using a tamper-resistant receptacle, especially in areas where children may be present. Tamper-resistant receptacles have internal shutters that prevent foreign objects from being inserted into the slots, reducing the risk of electrical shock. The National Electrical Code requires tamper-resistant receptacles in certain locations, such as dwelling units and childcare facilities. The wiring method used to connect the receptacle should comply with all applicable codes and standards. Common wiring methods include using non-metallic sheathed cable, also known as Romex, or conduit. The wiring should be properly sized for the circuit and securely connected to the receptacle terminals. It is important to avoid overstripping the wires, as this can expose too much bare conductor and create a potential shock hazard. When installing the receptacle, be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. The instructions will provide detailed information on how to properly wire the receptacle and secure it to the electrical box. Always turn off the power to the circuit before working on any electrical equipment. This is essential for preventing electrical shock. Use a voltage tester to verify that the circuit is energized before proceeding with the installation. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, it is best to hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. Electricity can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to ensure your safety. After the receptacle is installed, it is a good idea to test it to ensure that it is working properly. You can use a receptacle tester to check for common wiring errors such as open ground, open neutral, or reverse polarity. If you find any wiring errors, correct them immediately. Regular maintenance of the receptacle is also important. Check the receptacle periodically for any signs of damage such as cracks, loose connections, or corrosion. If you find any damage, replace the receptacle immediately. By following these best practices, you can ensure that the receptacle outlet for servicing heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration equipment is installed safely and correctly. This will help to protect service personnel from electrical hazards and ensure that the equipment can be serviced efficiently. The National Electrical Code is updated every 3 years, so it is important to stay up to date on the latest changes. This will help you to ensure that your electrical installations comply with the most current standards. There are many resources available to help you learn more about the National Electrical Code, including books, websites, and training courses. Take advantage of these resources to improve your knowledge and skills. Proper installation of the receptacle is not only a matter of code compliance but also a matter of safety. By following the requirements of the National Electrical Code and using best practices, you can help to prevent electrical accidents and protect lives. The specific type of heating, air conditioning, or refrigeration equipment being serviced can also influence the placement and type of receptacle. For example, a large commercial air conditioning unit may require a 20-amp receptacle to accommodate the power requirements of service tools, while a smaller residential furnace may only require a 15-amp receptacle. Consider the potential tools and equipment that will be used during servicing when selecting the appropriate receptacle. The environment in which the equipment is located is also a factor. If the equipment is located in a damp or wet location, such as a basement or outdoors, a weather-resistant receptacle with a protective cover should be used. This will help to prevent moisture from entering the receptacle and causing corrosion or electrical shock. The accessibility of the receptacle should also be considered from the perspective of service personnel working in various weather conditions. Ensure that the receptacle is easily accessible even when it is raining, snowing, or windy. This may involve providing a sheltered location or using a receptacle with a weatherproof enclosure. The presence of other electrical equipment in the vicinity should also be taken into account. Avoid installing the receptacle too close to other electrical panels, transformers, or other equipment that may create electrical interference. Maintain a safe distance to prevent potential hazards and ensure proper operation of service tools. The color of the receptacle can also be a consideration. While the National Electrical Code does not specify a particular color, it is common practice to use a different color receptacle for dedicated circuits, such as those used for servicing equipment. This helps to easily identify the receptacle and prevent accidental overloading of the circuit. The use of a surge protective device, or SPD, is also recommended for receptacles used to power sensitive electronic equipment, such as diagnostic tools or testing equipment. An SPD can help to protect the equipment from voltage surges and spikes, which can damage or destroy electronic components. The installation of the receptacle should be coordinated with other trades, such as HVAC contractors and plumbers, to ensure that it is located in a convenient and accessible location and does not interfere with other equipment or systems. Effective communication and collaboration between trades is essential for a successful installation. The location of the receptacle should also be clearly marked and labeled. This will help service personnel to quickly locate the receptacle and prevent confusion. Use a permanent label that is resistant to fading and weathering. The labeling should include the voltage and amperage rating of the receptacle, as well as any other relevant information such as the circuit number or the equipment it serves. Regular inspections of the receptacle should be conducted to ensure that it is in good working order and that there are no signs of damage or wear. These inspections should be performed by qualified personnel and should include a visual inspection as well as electrical testing. Any deficiencies should be corrected immediately. The National Electrical Code also addresses the use of ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, in certain locations. GFCIs are designed to protect people from electrical shock by detecting ground faults and interrupting the circuit. The code requires GFCIs in locations where there is a high risk of electrical shock, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. While the National Electrical Code does not specifically require GFCIs for receptacles used to service heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration equipment, it is generally recommended to use GFCIs in these locations, especially if the equipment is located in a damp or wet environment. This will provide an additional layer of protection against electrical shock. In addition to GFCIs, arc fault circuit interrupters, or FCIs, are also becoming increasingly common. FCIs are designed to protect against fires caused by arc faults, which are dangerous electrical discharges that can occur in damaged or worn wiring. The National Electrical Code requires FCIs in certain locations, such as bedrooms and living rooms. While the code does not specifically require FCIs for receptacles used to service heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration equipment, it is worth considering using FCIs in these locations, especially if the equipment is located in an area where there is a high risk of fire. This will provide an additional layer of protection against fire hazards. Firstly, the receptacle must be installed in accordance with all applicable codes and standards. Secondly, the receptacle must be properly grounded to prevent electrical shock. Thirdly, the receptacle must be protected from physical damage. Fourthly, the receptacle must be located in a convenient and accessible location. Fifthly, the receptacle must be clearly marked and labeled. Sixthly, the receptacle must be regularly inspected and maintained. Seventhly, the use of GFCIs and FCIs is recommended in certain locations.